Hello, welcome back to Jeevers Golf Channel. My name is Hans Jeevers. I'm a PGA Tour fantasy golf contributor for ProGolfNow.com and Fansided.com, and I'm here with you today to talk about the 2021 Sentry Tournament of Champions. It's always the first event of the calendar year. Of course, the new season started in October, so it's not the new season, technically. It's the super season, as they put it. So as the COVID-19 pandemic altered many of the events of last season, and they're shoving it all into one super season, as Tim Fincham has put it. So, of course, the Sentry Tournament of Champions is being held at the Plantation Course in Kapalua, Hawaii. It has been held at the Plantation Course every year since 1999. And this particular golf course is different than any of the other courses on the PGA Tour. It's a par 73 that measures about 7,565 yards. It's basically a course that is built on the side of a mountain. A lot of elevation changes. The players always state how difficult it is to walk the golf course. I heard a few players say it's the most difficult course to walk of any on the PGA Tour schedule. Very unique in that regard. Also, what makes it unique is extremely large fairways and extremely large greens. So what does that mean? What it means is off the tee, driving accuracy will not be a big issue from a statistical standpoint as you're trying to evaluate golfers for DFS this week. If you can't find these fairways, you have some issues. I will say that. So, and in regard to the big greens, what you're looking at is proximity to the hole. Instead of focusing on greens and regulation as you would on some events on the PGA Tour, like an RBC Heritage, they have these small greens. Well, greens and regulation is extremely important at that tournament. At this event, with such large greens and regulation, hell, half the field's gonna, or the entire field's gonna hit 85% of the greens. So that's not what you're looking for. What you're looking for is guys that can go after some flags, they can get it close, and also are good putters. When you have these very large greens, three putting becomes a problem if you're not a good putter. So what you're looking for are guys that can get it up there close, lag putting very well. And I like to look at the last 12 rounds played. When I'm looking at course, how guys are playing, coming in, that's important to me. The last 12 rounds played is what I prefer. Some people like 24 rounds. Me personally, it's the last 12 rounds. So a player's form is highly important, and so that's one thing I look at. And then, of course, course form, how people perform on this particular golf course is important as well. And I looked at the last 10 years of data in that regard. So the Sentry Tournament of Champions is an event, as I mentioned, been held every year since 1999 at this particular golf course. However, I need to make a key point here. Okay, this event has always been a winners-only event. So in prior years, the only way you could be eligible for this particular event is if you won a tournament on the PGA Tour the prior season. However, this year, Tim Fincham and the PGA Tour altered those eligibility criteria because of the fact that the COVID-19 pandemic caused a cancellation of many golf tournaments on the PGA Tour. So this year, and from what I understand, it's just for 1 year due to the pandemic. The eligibility criteria is as follows. The winners of the PGA Tour events from last year are eligible as always. And then this year, the top 30 in the FedEx Cup rankings from last season will be eligible to play in this event. Obviously, they don't have to participate, but that's the criteria involved. From what I saw today, we have 42 golfers that will be participating in this golf tournament. So, big greens, big fairways. I mentioned a couple of statistics that I find important. I would say putting, proximity to the hole are right up there. Strokes gained around the green are important as well. If you're going to miss these big greens, you better get it up and down. But you should be missing these big greens, I'll tell you that. But regardless, those are the statistics that are of the utmost importance to me. Also, I should tell you that looking at the weather here is important. Each and every year, wind is an issue for these guys. It's being held on an island of Hawaii, Maui in this case. And last year, for example, I can remember 35 to 45 mile an hour wind gusts at times. This year, from what I see, the forecast as of today, which is Monday evening, 3 days prior to the event, the forecast has Thursday having 25 to 30 mile an hour wind gusts. And then the forecast looks much better after the first round. On Thursday, the forecast becomes rather calm. However, as a Florida boy, I can tell you that can change on a dime. So I would strongly suggest that you pay close attention to the weather as the event gets closer. Weather forecast, that is. So just want to make sure I put that out there. That's very important to look at the weather forecast for this event. So let me get right to who I like this week. The contests were dropped on DraftKings today, and I'm going with the guy that won here last year. His name is Justin Thomas. And Justin Thomas is one of my favorite golfers, but that's not why I'm picking him. I don't pick people because I like them or I don't like them. I pick them based on logic and what the data tells me. And Thomas is coming into this event with 5 consecutive top 12 finishes on the PGA Tour. He finished second at the Zozo Championship a few months back. He finished 8th at the US Open. He's coming in very good form, and he loves this golf course and this tournament. In the last 5 years, he's played every year the Sentry Tournament of Champions, every year since 2016, I believe. In those 5 events played, he has 2 wins and a third. He won in 2017, he won last year, and he finished 3rd in 2019. And he's just a guy that tends to play well in Hawaii in general. I think he's won the Sony Open as well. So I'm leading off my picks with Justin Thomas. Next up, I mentioned the wind issue. I like to find guys that are very good wind players when possible. And Cam Smith is an Australian. And if you can't play in the wind in Australia, you should not be a professional golfer. So Cam Smith, he's arriving at this event in very good form as well. He has 3 consecutive top 11 finishes on the PGA Tour, including a runner-up finish at the Masters in November. So I like that. But he's an exceptional wind player, probably one of the best wind players in this field. He comes in on the slate at $8,400. Next up, 22-year-old Chilean, Joaquin Niemann. Joaquin, 5 top 23 finishes in his last 6 events on the PGA Tour. I like that. He's coming in good form, and he loves Bermuda grass greens. If you look at the data, you will see that the tournaments that Joaquin performs well at tend to be courses that have Bermuda grass greens. So I like that a lot. 5 top 23 finishes in his last 6. And as far as course form goes, in his first attempt to play this event, which was last season, Joaquin finished 5th at the 2020 Sentry Tournament of Champions. So he's coming in ball striking well, and he loves those Bermuda grass greens. And I have some history to look at. Last year he finished 5th. He comes in on the slate at $8,300. So I like Joaquin Niemann at $8,300. I'm not just giving you all the chalk on the top here. We're trying to make this a video that's worthy of observing, right? I don't want to just give you the chalk, right? But I have to give you Justin Thomas because I think he's so much win equity. If you don't have him in your lineup, you will lose. I think this man is going to be right there on Sunday afternoon, okay? Another guy in the lower cost frame of things, you want to find some value if you're going to try to stuff in some of these higher cost guys. And I like the Canadian, Mackenzie Hughes. Mackenzie Hughes, he has 2 top 7 finishes in his last 5 events played on the PGA Tour. And as I usually look at the top guys in the last 12 rounds played, but trying to find some value, a diamond in the rough, I lowered it to 8 rounds just to see what I would get. And Mackenzie popped in the last 8 rounds played relative to this field and some key stats, which I liked. He was 3rd in strokes gained putting in this field in the last 8 rounds, and he was 17th in strokes gained around the green. I think he was maybe 18th in strokes gained approach. I know it's only 42 guys in the field, but you gotta look for some value. He comes in on the slate at only 6,800. I didn't mention Reed in the article per se. I did have a first look article I wrote about 3 weeks ago, and I mentioned Patrick Reed. But I like Patrick Reed a lot here too. He comes in on the slate at $9,600. Patrick Reed, also an exceptional win player. Patrick Reed. So you can find my content on ProGolfNow.com and Fansided.com. I try to keep these videos at about 10 minutes. I could talk forever about fantasy golf, and I'm not going to do that. If you don't mind hitting a like on this video, that'd be outstanding. If you're new to the channel, if you don't mind subscribing, that'd be awesome too. It definitely helps with the algorithms, so my content is pushed a little bit further. I appreciate you very much. I love the DFS community, and if you're watching this, you're part of it, so I love you too. You have a great afternoon or evening, wherever you are, and let's have a great first tournament of 2021, the Sentry Tournament of Champions.